My beloved child, let your heart understand something deeper than what the natural eye can grasp. My light does not merely shine upon you from the outside like a passing ray of sunlight, but has been placed by me in the deepest hidden place of your soul to become life within you. When you abide in me and allow me to abide in you, you are no longer merely someone searching for light in the long night. But you become the place where that light dwells, breathes, moves, and shines forth. My son said, "Abide in me and I will abide in you." As in John Funsen, fear. This is the secret of a radiant life. Not that you try to shine by your own strength. Not that you force yourself to become perfect in order to be recognized, but that you remain in me deeply enough for my light to naturally be reflected through every word, every glance, and every quiet decision you make. Imagine a clear mirror wiped clean of dust. It does not create the sun by itself. But when it is placed in the right direction, it reflects the light clearly. You are the same. When your heart is purified from pride and the need to prove yourself before the world, my light will pass through you more purely. Every small thing in your life when offered with love and humility can bear the mark of heaven. A gentle word can soften a heart that has been closed. A compassionate look can remind a soul that they are still seen with mercy. A faithful act that no one notices can become a fragrance before me. For true light does not merely make others see you. True light makes them feel that I am near. But my child, that light must be guarded. Not because I am weak, nor because darkness is stronger than I am, but because love requires a heart that knows how to remain. The lamp within you needs the oil of faith, the breath of prayer, and the living water of the Holy Spirit flowing through each day. Do not become so self-assured that you think because you shone yesterday you no longer need to draw near to me today. Do not let small successes make you forget the source of the fire. And do not let failures make you think you are no longer allowed to return. Not by might nor by power but by my Spirit. As Eteria 4:6 declares, your lamp does not burn steadily because you are strong, but because you know how to return to the one who makes it burn. Remember Moses when he was on the mountain with me. He did not make his own face shine. Nor did he stand before the people trying to appear holy. He simply remained in my presence. Listen to me. Receive my word. And when he came down from the mountain, his face shone so brightly that the people recognized that something of my glory had touched him. That light was not an outward ornament, but the trace of time spent near me. My beloved child, your life will be the same. When you spend time in my presence, when you allow my word to wash your mind, when you pray not only to ask for what you need, but to be transformed within, others will recognize in you a light that does not belong to this world. You may not see it in yourself, but the peace, gentleness, steadfastness, and mercy within you will testify that you have been with your Father. I want you to understand that the light within you is not meant only for private holy moments, but to go with you into every place where your life sets foot. When you enter a room filled with tension and still keep your words gentle, my light is present when you face someone who has hurt you and do not allow bitterness to control your response. My light is overcoming the darkness. When you choose honesty where others easily compromise, choose forgiveness while still keeping wisdom. Choose hope even though circumstances have not yet changed. Your life becomes a lamp set on a stand. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. As Matthew 5:14 declares, I do not call you light because you have no weakness. I call you light because I live within you. Therefore, do not despise small things. The world often searches for light in what is dazzling, but I often shine through quietly obedient hearts. A hidden intercessory prayer can open a way for a weary soul. A meal shared in love can become a sign of grace. A silence kept at the right moment can prevent anger from causing deeper wounds. A tear turned into prayer can become water that refreshes the garden within you. My son said in John 7:38 that whoever believes in him, out of their heart will flow rivers of living water. When you abide in me, you do not merely carry the light, you also become a stream, so that my life may touch the dry places around you. When you learn to see by my light, everything will change. You will see me in the gentle wind touching your cheek. In the smile of someone who once seemed like a stranger, in the peace that comes after a simple prayer, and even in the tears that no longer lead you into despair, but draw you closer to me. You will realize that my glory is not only in some distant height, but is breathing in every heartbeat surrendered to me. We all with unveiled faces beholding the glory of the Lord as in a mirror are being transformed into the same image. As 2 Corinthians 3 verse 18 says, the more you behold me, the more you are transformed. The closer you remain to the light, the less you can continue living as one who belongs to darkness. My beloved child, let your life become a quiet yet powerful witness of my glory. Do not try to shine so that you may be admired. Abide in me so that others may be led home. Do not try to make yourself dazzling. Let love make you pure. Do not fear the dark places you must pass through. For wherever I send you, my light goes with you. Keep oil in your lamp through prayer. Keep your heart clean through repentance. Keep your eyes fixed on me through faith. And keep your steps in obedience through love. And when you live this way, darkness no longer has the right to touch your identity. It may surround you, but it cannot possess you. For you belong to me and my light within you will continue to burn. Continue to heal. Continue to guide until many other souls see through you that the Father is still shining in this world. My beloved child, let your soul remember this deeply. I do not merely give you light. I am the source of your light. This light is not borrowed from the sun. Does not depend on favorable seasons and does not go out when your life enters a long night. It flows from my eternal nature of love, from the Father's unchanging heart toward you. Therefore, when you see darkness gathering around you, do not quickly conclude that the light has left you. The night is only a temporary veil that makes more visible what cannot be hidden. That true light does not come from outward circumstances, but from my presence living within you. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear, as Psalm 27 verse 1 declares, if I am your light, then no darkness can write the final word over your life. I call you my lamp in the world, not because you are radiant in yourself, but because I have placed within you the breath of heaven. When you guard that flame with faith, humility, obedience, and true love, your life will become a sign that heaven still touches this earth. You may not stand in high places, may not be known by many, and may not possess what the world calls glory. But if your heart is lit by me, even one kind word, one merciful glance, one faithful choice made in secret can light the way for a wandering soul. My son said, "You are the light of the world" in Matthew 5 verse 14. And that light is not for you to be exalted, but so that through you others may recognize that the Father is still near. Let me become the dawn within you. Not a dawn that merely brightens your eyes, but a dawn that warms the cold corners of your soul, awakens the hopes you thought had fallen asleep, and softens the places that have grown hardened from waiting too long. Every time you turn your heart back to me, a new day begins within you. Even if the night still remains outside. Every time you say to me in honesty, "Father, I need you," the light has already begun to slip through the cracks of your weariness. Lamentations 3:22-23 reminds you that my mercies never cease and my loving kindness never comes to an end. They are new every morning. Do you say, "My child, my dawn does not arrive only according to the sun's timetable"? It comes whenever a heart is willing to open itself to grace. I know every need within you, both the things you speak aloud and the things you silently carry in tears. I know you need peace, direction, strength, love, and healing for the hidden places no one else can see. I also know the desires you keep buried, the prayers you repeat again and again, and the doors you hope will open. My child, I am not indifferent to any of these things. My word in Philippians 4:19 declares that God will supply all your needs according to his riches and glory. But understand this, I do not merely provide what you want in the moment. I provide what your soul truly needs in order to walk into the good plan I have prepared for you. There are prayers I answer by opening doors. And there are prayers I answer by closing them. Do not be quick to fear when a door does not open the way you hoped. Do not think that delay means abandonment or that refusal means a lack of love. Some things appear to be blessings from the outside, but if entered at the wrong time, they can draw your heart away from me. Some paths seem bright in human eyes. Yet the farther you walk on them, the more they steal your peace. I am your Father. I do not only hear what you ask for. I also see where those things will lead you. Proverbs 3 verse 56 reminds you to trust in me with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Acknowledge me in all your ways and I will direct your paths. Sometimes that guidance comes through an open door and sometimes through a door closed by mercy. Remember Abraham on Mount Moriah? He walked in obedience when what I asked of him went beyond what reason could understand. Isaac, the son of promise, stood before him. Yet I was teaching him that the blessing must never take the place of the one who gives the blessing. When Abraham laid his most precious treasure upon the altar, I did not take away the promise. I revealed that I myself am the provider. The ram caught in the thicket had already been prepared in a place his eyes had not yet seen. And from that moment he called me Jehovah Jireh, the Lord who provides. My beloved child, there are times when I invite you to place your desires upon the altar, not to make you suffer loss, but to free you from holding on to good things in the wrong way. When I am first, every blessing is placed in its rightful position. Therefore, give to me not only your fears but also your most beautiful desires. Surrender the plans you cherish, the doors you are waiting for, the people you want to keep, and the things you feel you cannot live without. I am not asking you to let go in despair, but inviting you to entrust them to me in faith. My will is not poorer than your dreams. It is broader, deeper, and wiser than anything you have ever imagined. Isaiah 55 verse 89 declares that my thoughts are not your thoughts, and my ways are higher than your ways, as the heavens are higher than the earth. When you allow me to reshape your desires, you do not lose yourself. You are led back to a fuller version of who you were created to be within. My plan. I will provide for you, but I will also purify what you seek. I will give you daily bread. Yet I will also teach you to hunger for the living word. I will open the way where it must be opened. But I will also close paths where danger lies beyond what you can see. I will light your steps, not always with a light that reveals the entire journey at once, but with a lamp sufficient for the next step. Psalm 11:19-105 says that my word is a lamp to your feet and a light to your path. Trust in that step-by-step guidance. You do not need to see the whole road in order to know that you are safe. You only need to know that your Father's hand is holding you. My beloved child, let my light spread within you until every fear must retreat. Let me become the dawn in the places still dark, the warmth in the places still cold, and the life within the parts of you that you thought had withered away. When I close a door, do not remain standing before it in tears, as though your life ended there. Turn your face toward me, for I am opening another way, a better way for your soul. A path where my light guides each step, where my will does not crush your dreams, but purifies them, lifts them higher, and causes them to bear fruit in the proper season. You are my lamp in the world. And when you remain in your Father's source of light, your life will not only be warmed, but will also become a dawn for souls searching for their way back to hope. My beloved child, let your heart understand that no intercessory prayer offered in love ever falls to the ground without meaning. There are prayers you have spoken through tears that seem to disappear into silence. There are names you have brought before me many times. Yet outwardly nothing appears to change. There are situations you have placed into my hands day after day. And still your eyes see only dry ground, closed doors, hardened hearts, and hope growing thin. But my child, do not measure the power of prayer by the speed of what you can see. There are seeds I plant in hidden places before the harvest appears in the field. There are streams I have already caused to flow beneath the ground before you see green shoots rising through cracked soil. The prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective. As James 5 verse 16 reminds you, and that effectiveness is not always loud before your eyes, but it is always seen before my throne. When you intercede for others, you step into a very holy place. You no longer bring only your own needs before me, but also the souls who are weary, the families that are breaking apart, the lost who have wandered away, and the hearts that do not yet know how to name their pain. I hear every word you speak. I see every moment you remember someone in the middle of a busy day and quietly lift them up to me. I treasure even the prayers that are not eloquent, the broken sentences, and the sighs you cannot fully put into words. Romans 8 verse 26 says that the Spirit helps you in your weakness. For there are times when you do not know how to pray, but the Spirit Himself intercedes with groanings too deep for words. Therefore, do not think your prayer is small simply because it is not spoken with beautiful language. When it is born out of love, it has already touched my heart. Remember Moses when the people of Israel fought against Amalek down in the valley? Joshua held the sword and fought the battle. But on the hilltop, Moses lifted up his hands before me. When his hands were raised, my people prevailed. When his hands grew weary and lowered, the enemy advanced. Then Aaron and Hur stood beside him and held up his hands until the sun went down. My beloved child, that story in Exodus 17 teaches you that some battles are decided not only by what people see on the battlefield, but by hands lifted in prayer. There are people out there fighting battles without enough strength to stand on their own. There are souls growing weary in the midst of trials that no one else sees. When you intercede, you are like the one standing upon the hill, lifting your hands before me so that grace may make a way in a battle your eyes cannot fully see. Do not underestimate the words you speak. Your mouth can become either a stream of blessing or a source of wounds. Therefore, I want to teach you to pray not in order to control others according to your own desires, but to place them beneath my good and perfect will. I want your words to flow not from judgment, but from mercy, not to prove yourself right, but to open a way for healing, not to condemn those who are weak, but to call my life into the places within them that have grown dry. Proverbs 18 verse 21 says that death and life are in the power of the tongue. So let your tongue be purified by my love. So that whenever you speak of others before me, you do not sow heavier burdens, but rather hope, peace, and light. There are people who have wounded you, and praying for them is not easy. I know that I am not asking you to pretend the wound never happened. Nor am I telling you to reopen doors that should remain closed in wisdom. But I am inviting you into a deeper freedom. The freedom of refusing to let bitterness determine your prayers. When you intercede for those who have hurt you, it does not always change them immediately, but it begins to release you from the chains of resentment. My son said, "Love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you," as written in Matthew 5 verse 44. Those words do not minimize your pain, but they open a path so that your heart will not be reshaped by the darkness of others. Interceding in love is not weakness. It is the strength of a soul that has surrendered judgment back into my hands. I want to give you eyes that can see the pain hidden behind behavior, the dryness beneath outward hardness, and the cry for help behind a person's coldness. Not so that you will excuse what is wrong, but so that you may pray with mercy instead of merely reacting out of hurt. When your eyes are washed by the Holy Spirit, you will no longer look at others as problems to remove, but as souls. I am still calling home. Some people do not know how to pray for themselves. So I place them within your heart for you to lift before me. Some have wandered too far from the light, and a quiet prayer from you may become a small lamp set beside the road for them. Revelation 8:3-4 speaks of the fragrance of prayers rising before me. Believe that intercessory prayers offered in holiness do not disappear. They are kept in the place where I move and act. You may not immediately see change in the people for whom you are praying. At times they may still remain hardened. At times circumstances may still move slowly. At times even you may grow weary from waiting. But I am working in ways your eyes cannot yet see. I can soften a heart that is long resisted. I can arrange a divine encounter at the right moment. I can place a reminder within their mind in the middle of the night. I can use your prayers like quiet rain falling upon dry ground until the day new life finally appears. Galatians 6 verse 9 reminds you not to grow weary in doing good. For in due season you will reap if you do not lose heart. Intercession is also a form of sowing. Sow in faith. Water with love and entrust the harvest to me today. Let your heart become an altar and let your prayers rise as a fragrance before me. Say to me, Father, teach me to pray beyond my own worries. Place within my heart the people who need to be touched by your love. Teach me to speak words that build up instead of words that tear down, to bless instead of curse, and to ask for healing instead of nurturing judgment within my heart. I will hear that prayer. My beloved child, I will make your mouth a channel of blessing, your heart a river carrying life, and I will use your quiet intercessions to water lands you thought had already become dry. Do not stop praying. Do not stop loving with wisdom. Do not stop lifting others before my throne. For many things you cannot yet see today. I am preparing to bloom in their proper season beneath the Father's light. My beloved child, continue to intercede even when your eyes cannot yet see anything moving. Do not think that silence on the outside means heaven is standing still. There are doors opening in the unseen realm when you kneel in love. There are chains weakening in the souls of others when you speak their names before me. There are seeds of life being planted into barren ground you thought had no hope left. I hear every prayer of intercession you offer. Both the words spoken clearly and the sighs too deep to become sentences. As Psalm 141. 2 says, May my prayer be set before you like incense. The prayers you lift up in faith do not disappear into empty space. They rise before my throne, are remembered by me, and are used at the right time, in the right way, according to wisdom far beyond what you can see. I did not create love to revolve only around itself. True love always flows outward. When it receives life from me, it cannot remain still. It seeks out the dry places, the weary hearts, the wandering souls, and those who no longer have enough strength to pray for themselves. Therefore, when you intercede, you are not merely speaking on behalf of others. You are allowing my love to flow through you like a river. And in a beautiful mystery, while that river flows outward, your own heart is also being renewed. You may think you are only lifting others up. But I am also enlarging you within, loosening the grip of self-centered worries upon your heart, teaching your eyes to see more deeply into the pain of humanity, and filling your soul with the light of mercy. Do not grow weary when you do not yet see change. There are people for whom you pray who still remain far from me. Yet your intercession is becoming a quiet call along the road they walk. There are families you place before me that still appear broken. Yet I am working in depths your words cannot reach. There are situations you have placed into my hands that have not yet opened. But I am preparing what is right in its appointed time. Continue steadfastly in prayer as Colossians 4:2 reminds you, and remain watchful in prayer with thanksgiving. That steadfastness is not about forcing me to follow your will, but about continuing to trust that I am working even when my ways remain hidden. Mature faith knows how to wait without releasing its hold on love. And my child, do not forget to give thanks. Gratitude is a beautiful fragrance before me because it declares that you still believe I am good even before you see the full answer. When you give thanks, you are not denying your tears nor pretending that everything is easy. You are simply placing your tears beneath the light of my faithfulness. You are telling your soul that circumstances are not your God. Fear is not the truth and delay is not abandonment. Philippians 4:6-7 teaches you not to be anxious about anything but in everything through prayer, supplication, and thanksgiving. Present your request to me, and my peace which surpasses all understanding will guard your heart and mind. Do you see, my child? Thanksgiving does not only rise to heaven, it also protects your heart from being overtaken by fear. Remember King Jehoshaphat when a great army came against my people. Before them stood danger, something far beyond human strength. Yet Jehoshaphat did not begin with panic. He turned his face to seek me, called the people to pray, and confessed that they did not know what to do, but their eyes were upon me. Then I declared that the battle belonged to me. And when they went out to face the enemy, the singers walked ahead of the army, lifting their voices, "Give thanks to the Lord, for his mercy endures forever." When praise rose before victory appeared, I moved and caused the enemy to be defeated. My beloved child, this is the power of a heart that gives thanks before seeing the outcome. Thanksgiving places you back in the right position, not looking at the size of the problem, but at the faithfulness of your Father. When you give thanks, your eyes are cleansed from the habit of seeing only what is still lacking. You begin to recognize grace in small things. A breath of peace in the middle of a heavy day. A sufficient meal. One person who remains beside you. A closed door that protected you. A tear that brought you closer to me. Morning in which you are still given the chance to begin again. In everything give thanks. As 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 18 reminds you, not because everything that happens is good, but because I am still able to bring goodness even in the midst of what is not yet good. Gratitude does not make you smaller. It enlarges you. It does not make you passive. It causes you to see my hand working in places where you once saw only emptiness. I want your mouth to become a place from which blessing flows. Intercede for those who are hurting. But also give thanks because I am still the healer. Pray for those who are lost. But also give thanks because I am still the shepherd who searches for the wandering sheep. Ask for the right doors to be opened. But also give thanks because I love you enough to close the doors that do not belong to life. When intercession and thanksgiving dwell together within you, your soul will not be pulled apart by despair. You will carry the burdens of others in love while still keeping your peace. Because you know the final burden belongs to me. You are not the Savior. You are a child invited to participate in the flow of your Father's mercy. Therefore, continue to enter Chade. My beloved child, continue to give thanks. Let your heart become an altar where love rises like incense, where prayer flows like water and where gratitude burns like a lamp that never goes out. Even if you do not yet see green shoots, believe that I am working beneath the soil. Even if you have not yet heard the answer, believe that heaven is not silent before your faith. I will use your intercession to sow life, your gratitude to keep your heart tender, and your very life to testify that in every season your Father is still good, still faithful, still working, and still turning quiet prayers into harvests of healing, hope, and blessings in their appointed time. My beloved child, come closer still. Not with the weary feet of striving, but with a heart willing to open before a love that will never abandon you. I am stretching out my arms to receive you, not to interrogate you about where you have been, nor to measure how much strength, faith, or perfection you still possess. I see you as a father sees a child who has walked through dust and storms for too long. Your clothes may be worn. Your heart may be tired. Your eyes may still carry tears. Yet you are still my child. The parts of you that were scattered along the road. The hopes left behind in seasons of pain. The pieces of your heart shattered by disappointment. I am gathering together with hands of mercy. I will never leave you nor forsake you. As Hebrews 13:5 reminds you. And that promise is not only for the days when you are strong, but also for the very moments when you feel weakest. I know there were times when you saw your weakness as something shameful. You believed that if you trembled, if you cried, if you no longer had the strength to keep smiling, then you had disappointed me. But my child, I do not look at your weariness as a crime deserving condemnation. I see within it the cry of a soul that has carried too much alone. I hear that cry even when your lips cannot form words. I see the exhaustion hidden behind your attempts to appear normal. And I respond not with reproach, but with mercy. Isaiah 40:29 declares that I give strength to the weary and increase the power of the weak. You do not need to bring me a repaired version of yourself. You only need to come and let me do what you cannot do for yourself. Remember the prodigal son returning to his father's house. He had gone far away, wasted everything and reached the emptiness of a place where nothing remained to hold on to. He prepared words asking only to become a servant because he believed he was no longer worthy to be called a son. But the father saw him from a distance, ran to him, embraced him, and kissed him. The father did not begin with accusations. He began with open arms. He did not demand that the son clean the dust from the road before being loved. He ordered the best robe, a ring, and sandals to be brought for him. My beloved child, this is my heart toward you. When you return, I do not stand at the doorway with cold eyes. I run toward you in mercy so that you may know your identity is not erased by seasons of wandering. You do not return as a stranger. You return as a child who belongs in the Father's house. Let me rekindle the lamp within you. Perhaps it has trembled beneath the winds of pain, flickered through nights when you believed your prayers no longer reached heaven and become covered by the smoke of fear until you could no longer see its light clearly as before. But a smoldering wick I will not extinguish. I will shield it with my hand, pour fresh oil into your soul, and breathe the breath of my spirit upon what still quietly burns within you. That oil does not come from the praise of people, nor from your ability to control everything, nor from always appearing strong. That oil comes from my presence, from my word, from daily grace, and from every time you return to me in sincerity. As Psalm 23 verse 5 says, "You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows." I do not merely want to give you enough to survive. I desire to fill your heart until it overflows with my life. The light I kindle within you will no longer be the fragile light of human strength, glowing brightly when recognized and fading when forgotten. It will become the light of heaven itself, quiet yet enduring, gentle yet impossible for darkness to overcome. When that light burns clearly again, you will no longer live merely trying to survive another day. You will live with the awareness that I am within you, leading you, turning every breath into a testimony of your Father's goodness. My son said, "Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you, not as the world gives." In John Finan Zevans, that peace does not depend on every storm having ceased. It is a deep stillness within. Because you know my hand is still holding your lamp in the midst of the wind. So feel the burdens falling from your shoulders. Layer by layer, fear no longer needs to rule over you. Self-condemnation no longer needs to stand at the doorway of your heart as a guard. The voices that once told you that you were too weak, too late, too broken to be restored no longer have authority to pronounce judgment over your life. I am speaking a new word over you. Behold, I make all things new. As Revelation 21 declares, I am not merely patching the cracks so you can continue enduring. I am renewing the deepest places within you, restoring the rhythm of your heart to the peace of heaven. You will begin to breathe differently, see differently, and love differently because the places once suffocated by fear will be opened again to life. My peace is coming upon you like a deep ocean, quiet yet overwhelming, gentle yet powerful. It will enter the rooms within you that have long been filled with anxious noise. It will cover the memories that once made you tremble. It will touch the questions that still have no answers and whisper to your soul that you are still safe in your Father's hands. Philippians 4 verse 7 says that my peace which surpasses all understanding will guard your heart and mind. Do you see, my child? My peace is not merely a passing pleasant feeling. It is a holy protection surrounding your mind. An invisible embrace keeping you from being swept away by fear. A place where you can rest even when you do not yet understand the road ahead. Remain in my arms. My beloved child, do not rush to stand up just to prove that you are fine. Do not hurry to wipe away your tears simply because you fear appearing weak. Let me hold you long enough for your heart to remember what it feels like to belong. Let me light the lamp deeply enough that darkness no longer finds a hiding place within you. Let me pour enough oil into you so that the light will not only guide you, but will also shine through your life as warmth for cold and weary souls. From this moment on, you no longer live merely by your own breath. You live by my presence. You no longer move forward by your own determination, you walk in your Father's light. And when my dawn rises within you, everything that once made you feel lost will be placed beneath grace again. So that you may know that in my embrace, restoration is not merely standing up again, but being brought back to life in peace, light, and the everlasting love of your Father. My beloved child, awaken in the deepest place of your soul, not with panic, but with the gentle awareness that I am near. I am pulling back the veil of mist that has covered the eyes of your heart, layer by layer, so that you may once again see the sky of grace that worry has hidden for far too long. You have walked through days when your mind felt like a valley filled with smoke, where every unanswered question became another layer of fog, where each fear joined itself to another fear until the light before you grew dim. But today I do not come to frighten you. I come with the warmth of love, with the voice of a father, with patience deep enough to awaken the parts of you that have fallen asleep beneath the dust of doubt. Awake, O sleeper, and rise from the dead, and Christ will shine on you as Ephesians sink. Kath declares, those words are not a rebuke, but the voice of dawn calling your soul out of the long night. I know the questions that have worn down your heart. I know there were moments when you prayed and heard only silence. Moments when you searched for signs and found only an empty road. Moments when my promises seemed far away compared to the pain standing directly before you. You wondered whether you had enough faith, whether I truly heard you, whether light still remained for you. But my child, do not fear your questions. A soul that still asks is a soul that is still searching. Doubt is not always the end of faith. Often it is the knocking from a deeper place within you, inviting you to move beyond shallow trust into a truer knowing of me. I am not afraid of your questions. I simply do not want you to let those questions become walls that keep you from my embrace. There is a kind of doubt the enemy uses to pull you away from me, planting bitterness within you, causing you to shut your heart against my word and call darkness the only reality. But there are also times when I allow you to face the shaking within yourself so that the roots of your faith may grow deeper. A tree only grows deep roots when the wind blows against it. Faith only matures when it no longer depends entirely on pleasant emotions, favorable circumstances, or immediate answers according to your own expectations. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. As Hebrews 11:1 reminds you, if you believe only when everything is clear, then your faith has not yet learned how to see through the fog. But when you still return to me in the midst of what you do not understand, the light within you begins to grow stronger than the darkness around you. Remember Thomas, after my son had risen from the dead, he heard the testimony of the others. Yet his heart could not move beyond the wound of disappointment. He said that unless he saw the nail marks and placed his hand into his side, he would not believe. My son did not reject him for those words. He entered the locked room, stood among the disciples, and gently invited Thomas to touch his wounds. Do not be faithless, but believe. As John 20 verse 27 records, do you say, my child? I do not always answer doubt with punishment. Many times I answer it with my presence. I show you that wounds do not cancel resurrection. What was crucified could not prevent glory from rising again. The wounds within your own story are the same. They are not proof that I have failed you, but places where you may encounter me more deeply. Therefore, do not run from my light. That light does not come to shame your weakness, but to untangle the cords of doubt that have wrapped themselves around your faith for too long. When I shine upon you, I do not make you smaller. I restore your vision. I help you discern between the voice of fear and the voice of the Holy Spirit. Between true wisdom and self-protection born from pain, between honest questions and accusations trying to pull you away from your Father. There are things you call logic, but beneath them lies unhealed pain. There are things you call caution, but beneath them lie memories of betrayal. There are things you call loss of faith. But in truth, your soul has simply grown too tired from constantly trying to hold itself together. Bring all of it to me. I will not shame you. I want to teach you how to rise from the blind places within your soul. Those blind places are where you see only what you have lost, but cannot see what I have preserved for you. They are where you hear only silence without realizing that I am preparing something greater. They are where you see failure only as an ending. not knowing that I can still use it as soft soil for a new beginning. And we know that all things work together for good to those who love God. Romans Veneris. But understand this with maturity. I do not call every pain good. Nor do I call every darkness light. I am the one who has the power to ensure that even the things which wounded you will not be wasted when they are placed into my hands. When doubt comes, do not let it pull you away into silence. Turn it into prayer instead. Speak to me as the father of the demon-possessed child spoke to my son. I believe, help my unbelief, as written in Mark 9:5. That is a very honest prayer, and I love truth in the deepest places of the heart. You do not need to pretend that your faith never trembles. You only need to bring both the believing part and the trembling part before me. I can work with an honest heart far more than with a religious mask. Even a small faith placed into my hands can open the way for miracles. Because the power does not rest in the size of your emotions, but in the one to whom you are holding on. Let me breathe upon the places where your faith has grown cold. Let me remind you of the times I lifted you up before. The doors I once opened, the seasons I carried you through when you thought you would never survive them. Let me rewrite within your heart the memorials of my faithfulness. Because sanctified memory becomes a lamp in nights of doubt, David spoke to his own soul, saying, Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits. Psalm declares, When you remember me rightly, the fog begins to thin. When you remember that I have been faithful before, your heart gains strength to believe that I am still faithful. Even when the present moment remains unclear, my beloved child, today open the eyes of your spirit. Do not wait until every question disappears before stepping toward the light. Walk in the light and many questions will find their rightful place beneath my presence. I am drawing back the veil of fog. I am calling you out of the sleep of anxiety, out of the locked room of self-doubt, out of the habit of bowing your head before what you do not yet understand. Rise up not as someone who possesses every answer, but as a child who knows that the Father is holding their hand. The night may not yet be fully gone, but the dawn has already begun within you. And when Christ shines upon you, doubt will no longer be a prison, but a doorway through which your faith steps deeper into my love, my truth, and my everlasting life. My beloved child, I know there was a time when you believed with a very pure heart. You once heard my voice and your soul trembled with hope. You once believed that I was preparing something great, that your life was not meaningless drifting, that a calling had been placed within you before you fully understood yourself. There were days when your faith shone like the dawn, and you walked forward with lifted eyes, trusting that my promises would bloom in their appointed season. But then the winds arose. The things you hoped for slowed down. The people you trusted wounded you. The doors you thought would open remained silent and still. The prayers you poured out through tears seemed to fall into a deep silence without reply. And within that silence, the fog of doubt began to descend, not like a violent storm, but quietly, until you began looking at my promises through weary eyes and asking yourself, did I hear wrong? I do not condemn you for having those questions. I know that a heart which has waited for a long time can tremble before silence. I know that when you see others entering into their harvest season while you remain standing at the crossroads between trust and fear, your heart can ache as though you have been left behind. But my child, do not let comparison become the measure of my faithfulness. I do not work in every life according to the same rhythm, the same road, or the same season of blooming. Some seeds grow quickly upon the surface, but their roots are not yet deep enough to endure the wind. Other seeds remain hidden in the darkness of the soil for a long time, unseen by human eyes. Yet beneath the ground, their roots are quietly growing deeper every day. To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. Your delay is not always a denial. Often it is the place where I am making the roots of your faith deep enough to carry the blessing for which you once prayed. Doubt is like fog. My child, it does not need to destroy the mountain in order to make you lose your way. It only needs to obscure your vision for a while. It does not need to prove my promise is false. It only needs to make you weary enough to stop looking upward. It comes when you are exhausted. When you compare your journey to others. When you look at silence and call it absence. When you look at delay and call it abandonment. But fog cannot erase the sun. It only hides it from your eyes for a season. I am still there. Just as the sun remains behind thick clouds, just as the dawn is still preparing itself even while the night refuses to leave. For we walk by faith, not by sight. As 2 Corinthians 5 verse 7 reminds you, faith does not deny the fog. Faith learns how to hold my hand while not yet seeing clearly. Remember Abraham, who received the promise of descendants as countless as the stars. Yet many years passed while his arms still remained empty. Every night he could look up at the stars and remember my promise. But every morning he awoke to a reality that had not yet changed. Time may have tested his heart. Age may have mocked his hope and circumstances may have declared that the promise had come too late. But I did not forget. I do not need favorable human conditions in order to fulfill what I have spoken when every natural possibility appeared closed. I still caused Isaac to be born at my appointed time. My beloved child, that story is not merely history. It is a reminder that delay cannot cancel my covenant. If the promise came from me, it does not die simply because time has stretched on. There are nights when I do not perform loud miracles. Shake the heavens or immediately open the door upon which you keep your eyes fixed. But do not think that I am inactive. I may be doing something deeper than what you asked for. You ask for a way out. While I am strengthening your heart so that fear no longer imprisons you. You ask for an outward sign. While I am rekindling inner awareness, you ask for circumstances to change. While I am renewing your vision, purifying your motives, healing your wounds, and teaching you to stand firm even while the winds continue to blow. Isaiah 40 verse 31 declares that those who wait upon me shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. Run and not grow weary. Walk and not faint. Waiting upon me is not meaningless stillness. It is the place where the soul is strengthened by power from above. I am still with you in that long night. Even when I do not always speak in the way you expect, I am present like breath when you think you cannot continue. I am present like a small piece in the middle of a chaotic day. I am present in the scripture that suddenly touches your heart. In the person sent at the right moment. In the quiet strength that keeps you from collapsing, even when you believe you are completely exhausted. Do not search for me only in thunder. Learn to recognize me in the gentle whisper. Just as I met Elijah not in the wind, earthquake, or fire, but in the still small voice that came in the midst of his weariness. Sometimes my love does not arrive like lightning that overwhelms you. But like a lamp placed beside the sick bed of your soul, shining with enough light for you to know that you are not alone. When doubt returns, do not let it pull you into isolation. Bring it to me instead. Speak honestly to me, Father. I once believed, but today my heart is weary. Help me believe again. I do not despise such a prayer. I love truth in the deepest places. More than strong words spoken by a heart that is pretending. The Father in Mark 9 verse 24 cried out, I believe. Help my unbelief. My son did not reject that cry. Because a trembling faith that still turns toward me is more precious than self-confidence that does not need me. You do not need a faith that never shakes. You need to place your shaking faith into the hands of the one who never changes. My beloved child, I am deepening roots within you. What you call delay may be preparation. What you call silence may be the place where I am making your spiritual ears more sensitive to my voice. What you call being left behind may be the season where I am freeing you from dependence on the pace of others. So you can learn to walk in the timing of your Father. Do not despise the season of roots growing in the dark soil. No one applauds roots. No one sees roots. Yet when storms come, the tree stands because of roots that were formed in unseen places. I am building in you a faith that does not only shine in sunshine, but remains steady in the deepest night. I am forming in you a trust that does not depend on immediate signs, but on knowing who I am. Stand up, my beloved child. Not because you have all the answers, but because I remain the greatest answer in the midst of all that is unclear. Let me lift the veil of fog from your eyes little by little. Look again at my promises. Not through the pain of delay, but through the light of the one who has spoken and remains faithful. He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. As Philippians 1 verse 6 declares, I have not abandoned you. I have not forgotten what I planted. I have not left you at the crossroads where you stand. Hold my hand in the fog and you will see this. Night cannot swallow my promise. Delay cannot kill your destiny. And doubt when brought into my light becomes a doorway into a deeper, stronger, more mature faith in my everlasting love. My beloved child, you do not always realize it, but every time you choose to rise while your heart is still trembling, every time you choose to believe again when answers have not yet arrived, every time you kneel in prayer, even while tears still wet your face, you are walking through the fog with me. These steps may seem small to you, but in the spiritual realm, they are the footprints of living faith. You think you are weak because doubt is still present. But I see something more precious than emotional certainty. I see that you still return. I see that you still call upon my name. I see that you do not allow darkness to have the final word. Though the righteous fall 7 times, they rise again. As Proverbs 24:16 says, what makes you mine is not that you have never fallen, but that each time you fall, your heart still finds its way back to the arms of your Father. Doubt may blur your vision, but it cannot erase the light I have placed within you. It may cover your soul with mist so that you cannot see far ahead, but it cannot extinguish the flame kindled by my breath. You do not need to fight in panic to preserve that light as though everything depends on your strength. What I call you to is simpler yet deeper. Do not close your heart. Do not turn away from me just because you do not feel me as you once did. Do not conclude that I have left simply because you are in a season where emotions are no longer bright. A bruised reed he will not break and a smoldering wick he will not snuff out. As Isaiah 42 verse 3 declares, if the lamp within you is only faintly burning, I still know how to shelter it. Breathe upon it and cause it to burn again. You have asked me silently, Father, why can I no longer feel you as before, and I answer you gently, because you have been looking too long at the fog instead of the dawn that is approaching. You have been looking at what is unclear, at prayers not yet answered, at silences that confuse your heart. And you have mistaken that for the whole reality. But fog is not the sky. It is only a temporary covering. Night is not your destiny. It is only the passage before light breaks through. I have not disappeared in the season when you cannot feel me. I remain the one who is close to the broken-hearted. The one who holds your hand when you no longer have strength to hold mine. The Lord is close to the broken-hearted. As Psalm 34 verse 18 says, my nearness is not dependent on your ability to feel it, but grounded in the unchanging faithfulness of your Father. Remember the 2 disciples on the road to Emmaus after my son was crucified. They walked with heavy hearts, their eyes were veiled, and their hope seemed dead. They spoke of disappointment, of what they had once expected, of dreams that seemed buried beneath the shadow of the cross. My son himself walked beside them, explaining the scriptures. Yet they did not recognize him at first. Only when he broke the bread were their eyes opened, and they realized their hearts had been burning within them as he spoke. My beloved child, there are times when I walk with you in the same way. You do not yet recognize me because your heart is still covered with mist. But my presence has never left your side. One day you will look back and say, my Father was with me all along that journey. Dawn does not fear long nights. It does not argue with darkness. It simply arrives at the appointed time, and darkness must retreat. So it is with your faith. It does not mature only in easy days when everything is clear and prayers are immediately answered. True faith is formed in the moments when you have nothing left to hold on to except my word. It is deepened in nights when you cannot see the way forward yet still whisper, Father, lead me. It is refined when you no longer believe only because of blessings, but because you know I am faithful. For we walk by faith, not by sight. Sinu declares, you do not need to deny the fog. You only must refuse to let it determine your direction. There are lights within you that are struggling to break through exhaustion, fear, and unanswered questions. But understand this, that light is not struggling alone. I am the dawn rising within you. I am the one who parts the fog with mercy little by little until your eyes can see the path again. Every time you choose to pray, even when you feel nothing, a crack of light opens every time you choose thanksgiving in what you do not yet understand. The mist becomes thinner. Every time you choose my word above the voice of anxiety, your faith grows deeper roots. Those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. As Isaiah 40 verse 31 declares, that renewed strength does not always come as thunder. Often it comes as the ability to take one more step. So do not condemn yourself for walking through a season that is unclear. You have not lost your faith. You are learning to believe beyond feeling. You have not been abandoned. You are being led deeper into the awareness that I remain present even when my voice feels distant. You have not stepped away from the light. You are learning to distinguish true light from the false flashes that once made you dependent on fleeting emotions. Let the fog slow your pace, but do not let it turn you back. Let your questions bring you closer to me. Not build walls between you and your Father. When you do not understand, still come. When you do not feel, still speak. When you do not see the dawn, still turn your face toward me, my beloved child. I am calling the faith within you to rise. Not weaker after the season of mist, but stronger, deeper, more humble, and more enduring. One day you will look back on these long nights and see that they did not destroy you. They taught you how to cling to me with a more mature love. You will see that while you thought you were merely trying to survive, I was building within you a foundation that cannot easily be shaken. You will see that every choked prayer, every trembling act of getting back up, every decision to trust once more was remembered by me. Do not fear the fog. I am your dawn. Walk forward in my hand. And light will find its way through every shadow until your soul realizes that your Father never left. And your faith after the long night is now shining like a new day born from eternity. My beloved child, step out of the land of doubt, but do not step out as one who must drag themselves out of darkness with the last fragments of strength. Step out with gentle obedience, with a small but sincere surrender. Father, I cannot see clearly, but I still want to follow you. I do not ask you to generate light within yourself. A lamp cannot burn without oil. And your soul cannot shine if it remains distant from my source of life. Therefore, let me pour fresh oil into you. Oil of grace, oil of my presence, oil of promises that are not broken by the nights of your weakness. Zechariah 4:6 declares, not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit. You are not called to overcome doubt by striving, but by allowing my Spirit to rekindle what has long been trembling within you. No fog is thick enough to keep me out of your life. No night is long enough to delay my arrival. You may think I am slow because you have waited too long in silence. But my child, I have been coming in every breath that keeps you alive. In every heartbeat still holding on through exhaustion, in every tear you thought no one saw. I do not always come with thunder that shakes the sky, but with quiet strength that lifts you from a heavy morning. I come in a scripture that suddenly touches the exact place of your pain. I come in a small peace within your scattered thoughts. I come in the fact that you still want to seek me even when your heart is tired. The Lord is close to the broken-hearted. As Psalm 34 verse 18 declares, that nearness does not disappear simply because your feelings have not yet perceived it. I no doubt does not enter you with a roar. It rarely arrives as a clearly visible enemy. It comes as a whisper sitting beside you in your weakest hours when your body is tired. Your mind is filled with fog and your heart has little strength left to resist its questions. It asks, is it real? Did you hear correctly? Is your Father still there? Is that promise really for you? And in that moment, the light within you wavers. But hear me, wavering does not mean the lamp has gone out. A heart that still questions can still be a heart turning toward me. Doubt is not always a sign that you are far from me. Often it reveals a soul searching for a foundation deeper than emotion, deeper than habit, deeper than easy answers. Remember Jonah in the belly of the great fish? He ran from my call, went down into the ship, down into the sea, and down into the depths where no human eye could see. Yet even in the heart of that darkness, he prayed. That prayer did not rise from a bright temple, but from a place of confinement, helplessness, and shadow, and I heard him. Jonah 2 records that he cried out to me from his distress. And I answered, my beloved child, if I could hear a prayer from the bottom of the sea, then I also hear your weary sigh upon your bed, the unspoken questions within your heart, and even your silence when you no longer know what to say. I have seen you for a long time, not only in the days when your faith was strong and your prayers were full of fire. I have seen you in the mornings when you did not want to wake up. Yet you still opened your eyes. I have seen you in the nights when you stared at the ceiling. Your heart so empty that you could not even find a complete prayer. I have seen you when you quickly wiped away your tears so no one would notice. When you smiled it off because you did not want to explain your pain. When you wondered whether anyone truly understood the deepest part of you. And I say to you, I understand. I do not only see your tears, I know their source. I do not only hear what you say, I hear what you hide beneath your breath. You number my wanderings. Put my tears in your bottle. A psalm says, who declares, not a single tear of yours is forgotten before me. Therefore, when doubt comes, do not invite it to remain as though it were the master of your house. Turn its whispers into prayer. When it asks, is it real? Say to me, Father, remind me of what is true. When it asks, are you sure? Respond with trembling faith. My Father is faithful. When it says, you are too weak to continue. Let my word lift you. My grace is sufficient for you. For my power is made perfect in weakness. You do not need to argue with every fog that passes through your mind. You only need to turn your face toward the dawn. My light does not need you to prove it. It only needs you to open your heart so it can shine upon you. I want to teach you obedience while questions still remain. There is an obedience that only appears when everything is clear. And there is a far more precious obedience. Obedience when you do not yet understand. When you cannot see the full path. When your heart is still trembling yet still chooses to follow my voice. That is mature faith. That is when your roots go deeper than the soil of emotions. That is when the lamp within you is fueled not by outward signs but by trust in my nature. Hebrews 10 verse 23 reminds you to hold fast the confession of your hope without wavering. For he who promised is faithful. You do not hold on to hope because circumstances are easy. You hold on to hope because I do not change. My beloved child, let me pour fresh oil into your soul, even within this foggy place. Do not wait until everything feels clear before you draw near to me. Do not wait until you have beautiful prayers before you kneel. Do not wait until doubt disappears before you believe that I still love you. Come to me with the truest part of your heart. Tired, trembling, longing, confused, yet still wanting to hold the hand of your Father. I will not reject such a heart. I will breathe upon the smoldering wick. I will renew weary faith. I will teach you to step out of the land of doubt, not through loud declarations of confidence, but through small steps of obedience. And then you will see, not in one sudden moment of noise, but gradually, like a rising dawn, the fog will grow thinner. The questions that once paralyzed you will no longer rule over you. The nights that made you feel I was far will become memories of the places where I was quietly holding you. The tears you once hid will become witnesses that I was closer than you knew. Rise up, my beloved child. I am the light that never goes out. I am the one who comes at the appointed time. I am your Father who has seen you in both faith and doubt, in both dawn and deep night. Only do not close your heart. Return and my light will find its way through every layer of fog until the lamp within you burns again with life. Peace and a faith no longer dependent on the darkness around you. My beloved child, do you still remember those first moments when your heart recognized me? Not through logical reasoning, nor through long explanations, but through a very gentle stirring deep within your soul. There were times you may have wept without understanding why the tears were falling. Because they were not tears of despair, but tears of a heart touched by a love too tender to explain. In those moments, the eyes of your soul were as clear as morning water, and my light was reflected within you naturally, without striving, without doubt, without defense. You once knew me as close as your own breath. You once heard my voice in the smallest things. You once believed my love was real, not because someone proved it to you, but because your very soul had tasted my presence. Taste and see that the Lord is good, as Psalmatro 00 declares, and you have indeed tasted that goodness. But then life passed over you with many winds. There were words spoken that caused you to question your worth. There were moments of being left behind that made you wonder whether you were truly loved. There were disappointments that slowly blurred your vision, not in a single day, but gradually, like fine dust settling on glass without you noticing. Voices around you said you were not good enough, not strong enough, not beautiful enough, not worthy enough. Old wounds whispered that love always comes with loss, that hope only leads to deeper pain, that it is safer not to believe too deeply. And so the mirror within you became clouded. My light had not left. But you began to think it was far away simply because your eyes could no longer see as clearly as before. I want you to understand this deeply. My light does not weaken because of your doubt. My love does not withdraw because your mind trembles. True faith is not a sky without clouds, but a soul that still knows how to turn toward the sun even when clouds remain. You do not need to be ashamed that questions arise within you. I am not afraid of your honest questions. What I do not want is for you to hide those questions from me, letting them grow in darkness into bitterness. When you doubt, bring your doubt into prayer. Say, Father, where are you in this? Open my eyes so I may see you. That question placed in my hands is no longer a wall. It becomes a doorway through which I enter and bring light into what feels unclear. Remember Peter on the sea in the night storm? When he saw my son and heard his voice say, "Come," he stepped out of the boat onto the water. That was living faith, bold, courageous, beyond natural reasoning. But when he looked at the strong wind and the waves, fear rose in him, and he began to sink. My son did not stand far away to condemn him for trembling. He immediately reached out and took hold of him. My child, you are the same. There were times you stepped out in faith, but then the winds of circumstance made you afraid. You looked at threats, delays, and possible failure, and your heart began to sink. Yet my hand has always been near. Matthew 14 is not only the story of a man with weak faith. It is the story of a Savior who does not let the one who is sinking be abandoned in the waves. Therefore, do not believe the voice that says, "Doubt has separated you from me." Doubt only distorts your vision. It does not remove my sight of you. You may not see me clearly, but I see you completely. You may not feel my love as before, but my love still surrounds you like the air you breathe. You may stand at the crossroads of your soul between fog and promise. But I stand before you, extending my hand, calling you to take one more step. Fix your eyes on Jesus, the author and finisher of your faith. As Hebrews 12 verse 2 declares, when your eyes return from the waves to me, what once made you sink will no longer have authority over you. I see the battle within you. I hear the part of your faith that still wants to sing, even if its voice tremble. I also hear the voice of doubt trying to silence that song, telling you not to hope, not to pray, not to believe, because disappointment would hurt too much. But I speak to the weary part within you. Rest under my love. And I speak to the faith within you. Rise again. A small song in the night is still precious before me. A short prayer through tears still reaches my heart. A small step of trust while your mind trembles is still a seed of life. Faith comes by hearing and hearing by the word of Christ. As Romans 10 verse 17 declares, so let my word continue to nourish the faith within you that is still singing. When you allow my light to pass through your tired eyes, you will begin to see differently. You will no longer see pain as proof that you have been forgotten, but as the place where I am deepening, softening, and refining your heart. You will no longer see waiting as a prison, but as the journey where I teach you to distinguish between what you want and what your soul truly needs. You will no longer see tears as failure, but as rain upon the seed of faith, softening the soil for a new season. I am preparing. Psalm 1265 declares that those who sow in tears will reap in joy. Not a single tear you bring before me is wasted. My beloved child, stop hiding from the very things that make you doubt. Bring them close to me instead. Let me wipe the mirror of your spirit clean from the dust of lies, from the mist of wounds, from the smoke of fear. I will not shame you for having once been shaken. I will use even that shaking place to teach you how to stand more firmly in me. Your faith after the fog will no longer be a faith dependent on initial emotions, but a faith that has come to know my nature. I am faithful when you do not feel me. I am near when you think I am far. I love you when you find yourself hard to love. And I hold you when you are no longer able to hold yourself. Take my hand. Dawn does not argue with fog. It simply arrives and the fog dissolves. I am that dawn within you. And my light will lead you until the eyes of your soul become clear again. Not because they were never covered, but because they have been cleansed by the Father's everlasting love. My beloved child, listen to this with a watchful spirit, but do not let your heart be afraid. There are shadows that do not hate you because you are weak, but because of the light I have placed within you. There are forces that do not target you because you are insignificant, but because they recognize that you carry the mark of your Father, the breath of life, and a calling that does not belong to this world. The enemy does not always need great falls to mislead you. Often a small thought is enough. A subtle doubt, a quiet whisper that seems harmless, that you are not good enough, that it is too light for you, that my promises no longer apply to you, that you are not as loved as before. But my child, recognize that voice. It is not from me. For my word does not crush your identity. It corrects to restore. It illuminates to set free, and it calls you to rise in the dignity of a child who belongs to the light. I do not speak this to make you live in fear or to cause you to look around in suspicion or to imagine that darkness has greater authority than grace. No, my beloved child, I speak so that you may be awake. Because a vigilant soul is one that knows how to guard what is precious. Be sober-minded and watchful. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. But hear what I also place in your heart. He looks for entry. But not every door belongs to him. He only gains ground when you agree with lies. He only finds space when self-contempt, fear, and doubt become the voice guiding your soul. There are battles that do not appear as open warfare, but like a fine mist settling over your mind day by day. One comparison makes you feel small. One memory of failure convinces you that you cannot rise again. One delay causes you to wonder if I have forgotten you. One cold glance from others makes you question whether you are truly loved. And if you do not bring these things into my light, they slowly form a layer of fog over the mirror of your soul. Until you can no longer clearly see my image within you. But do not confuse accusation with truth. There is now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. Lies, Romans, Ulysses. When a voice brings only shame, contraction, despair, and distance from me, know that it is not the voice of your Father. Remember Eve in the Garden of Eden? The enemy did not begin with open evil, but with a question that distorted my image. Did God really say? He planted doubt about my word, then doubt about my goodness, as though I were withholding something good from humanity. From one distorted question, the door opened to disobedience. My beloved child, that strategy has not changed. He seeks to make you doubt my word. Doubt my love. Doubt the identity I have placed upon you. He knows that if you forget who you are in me, you will begin to live as though you have no Father. Therefore, return to what has already been spoken, to the unchanging truth. You were created in my image, redeemed by my love, called by my name, and held securely in my hand. Do not allow him to touch the heart that I have sealed with my light. Ephesians 1 verse 13 declares that you were marked with the seal of the promised Holy Spirit. That means your deepest identity does not rest in human opinions, not in your weakest days, not in past failures, nor in whispered accusations of the night. You belong to me. When you lower yourself with words I have never spoken over you, you are not only harming your heart, you are forgetting the holiness of my image within you. When you say you are useless, I remind you that I have placed gifts within you. When you say it is too late, I remind you that my timing is never limited by human delay. When you say you are no longer chosen, I remind you that my gifts and my calling are irrevocable. Therefore, you must learn to resist, not with panic, but with truth. When lies come, do not sit down and negotiate with them. Do not let them build a home in your mind. Answer them with my word as my son did in the wilderness. When the tempter came after 40 days, he also tried to distort identity. If you are the Son of God. But my son did not prove himself through spectacle. He stood firm in what is written. So it is with you, my beloved child. When the inner voice asks, if I am truly loved, why do I still hurt? Answer with the truth that I am near the broken-hearted. When it says, if I am truly called, why am I still waiting? Answer that I am completing the good work in you at the appointed time. When it says I am not strong enough, answer that my power is made perfect in weakness. I am a firewall around you. As Sicheria dos 5 declares that I will be a wall of fire around you and the glory within you. You do not fight alone in the night. You do not stand exposed before the whispers of darkness. I am around you to protect you, within you to ignite light, before you to guide you, and behind you to uphold you. But you must also choose to stand in truth. Guard your mind with my word. Guard your heart with prayer. Guard your lips from repeating lies about yourself. Do not assist the enemy by speaking what I have not spoken. Do not call yourself a failure when I call you restored. Do not call yourself forgotten when I call you by name. My child, stand up in the holy recognition that the light within you is greater than any darkness outside. Not because you are strong in yourself, but because I live within you. The one who is in you is greater than the one who is in the world. Azuno John 4 declares. Let this word become both the sword in your hand and the shield around your heart. When darkness knocks through accusation, let truth answer. When doubt tries to make you bow your head, lift your eyes to your Father. When self-contempt tries to drag you into the past, remember that I have called you into new life. Your heart belongs to me. The light within you belongs to me. And what I have ignited, I will preserve, strengthen, and use to shine upon many other souls who need to know that darkness never overcomes the light of the Father. My beloved child, do not fear when questions remain unanswered within you. Do not quickly condemn yourself just because your heart trembles before what you do not yet understand. Doubt is not always the sign that faith has died. Often it is the place where faith is brought into fire to be refined. So that what is only temporary emotion is burned away and what is truly rooted in me becomes purer and more enduring. The trial of your faith is more precious than gold that perishes. Though it is tested by fire, as 1 Peter 17 says, you see, gold is not destroyed by fire. Fire only reveals its true value. In the same way, seasons where you cannot clearly perceive me do not mean I have left you. They may be the seasons where I am making your faith no longer dependent on feeling, ease, or outward signs, but anchored deeply in my faithful nature. When I look at you, I do not see you as you see yourself in weary days. You see dryness. I see an underground stream being formed. You see trembling. I see a heart that is not let go of me. You see fog. I see seeds pushing through soil toward the light. You may not see me clearly, but I see you completely. You may bow your head in disappointment, but my eyes never leave you. You may struggle to form complete prayers, but I hear even the sighs within your chest. Psalm Dixon 12 says that even darkness is not dark to you. Night shines like the day. What you call night cannot hide you from my sight. What you call fog cannot make me lose the child I have called by name. Therefore, do not fear when your faith feels dry like soil waiting for rain. I do not ask you to pretend fullness when your heart feels empty. I do not require prayers decorated with false strength. A very honest prayer. Father, I am not sure, but I still want to believe is already a sound that echoes in the spiritual realm. For within that prayer, there is still turning toward me. There is still an open door. There is still a living seed. The Father in Mark 9 verse 24 cried out to my son, I believe. Help my unbelief. And that prayer was not rejected. I love truth in your heart more than strong declarations that are empty. Bring both your believing and your unbelieving to me. For I am the one who can breathe life upon ashes. Even a small light you think is not enough to break through a thick fog. But you forget that light does not need to be great in human eyes to carry my power. A small lamp in the night still causes the surrounding darkness to retreat. A mustard seed, though small, still becomes a great tree. A small prayer still opens the way for great grace. A bruised reed he will not break, and a smoldering wick he will not snuff out. As Isaiah 42 verse 3 declares, if within you there is only a faint ember, I can still cause it to blaze. If within you there is only a weak cry, I still hear it. If all you can do is turn your face toward me, then the dawn has already begun. But my child, I also see where you have stayed too long. You have pitched your tent in the valley of shame as though it were your home. Even though I never intended you to remain there, you have sat under the shadow of old accusations, letting them repeat that you are unworthy, that you have failed too much, that you have nothing left to offer me. Those words fall like drops of water, but over time they carve a path of self-contempt within your heart. And then you begin to call lies truth. You begin to bow before a voice that never came from me. But today I speak clearly. There is therefore now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. As Romans 1 declares, shame has no right to make its home in your soul when my grace has already opened the door for your return. Remember Gideon when he was threshing wheat in a winepress out of fear of the Midianites. He did not stand as a warrior on the battlefield. He was hiding, living under pressure, seeing himself through the weakness of his family and nation. Yet my angel came and called him, the Lord is with you, mighty warrior. As Judges 6 verse 12 records, do you see? I called him not according to what he felt, but according to what I had placed within him. Gideon had questions, fear, and a need for reassurance. Yet, I still used him. In the same way, I am not waiting for you to become free of trembling before I call you. I call you even in the place where you are hiding. So that you may know my voice is stronger than your self-doubt. You say you have nothing left to offer. Then offer me the truth of your heart. Offer your unhealed tears. Offer your trembling faith. Offer your unanswered questions. Offer even the weariness you have tried to hide. I do not need you to bring me a flame already burning brightly. I can work with ashes if you place them in my hands. I do not require you to prove your worthiness. I loved you before you had done anything at all. John 8 verse 32 says that the truth will set you free. And this is the truth today. You are not the lies that have been spoken over you. You are not the valley of shame where you once stayed. You are not the silence of a waiting season. You are the child I have called, held, restored, and led out of any place that does not belong to your destiny. So rise up, my beloved child, not with pride, but with humble trust. Leave the tent you have built in shame. Step out of the place where quiet voices of darkness have been suffocating your song. I am restoring my word over your soul. I am reminding you that doubt is not your home. It is only the fog you are passing through with your Father. I am breathing life upon ashes, calling your faith to rise and making the light within you shine again. Not by human strength, but by my Spirit. Do not rejoice over me, my enemy. Though I fall, I will rise. Though I sit in darkness, the Lord will be my light. O declare. Let this become a new psalm within you. You are not finished. You are not rejected. You are not overcome by darkness. I still see you. I still call you. I am still with you. And the light within you will shine even more brightly after this season of fog. My beloved child, I did not create you to live bowed beneath the shadow of shame as though it were your true name. Shame is only a passing shadow that appears when a soul turns away from the light. But you are not that shadow. You belong to my light. You carry my breath. You are called by a name that sin, failure, human words, and seasons of weakness cannot erase. Do not let what you have been through convince you that you are only worthy of living in dust. I did not form you to crawl in fear. I did not call you to settle for less than what I have promised. And I did not lead you out of darkness so that you would pitch your tent at the edge of dawn and call it enough. My Son has declared in John 8 verse 36, if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. That freedom is not only deliverance from external chains, but liberation from the inner voice that keeps telling you that you can no longer rise. I know that spiritual weariness has made your wings heavy. There are days when you can no longer sing as before, no longer pray with the fire you once had. No longer look toward the future with bright eyes. You have walked through many strong winds, many delayed hopes, many unseen battles. And little by little, your heart has begun to accept dryness as a place to live. But my child, dryness is not your home. The valley is not your throne. Dust is not the garment I have prepared for you. Isaiah 40:31 declares that those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. Do you see? I do not only want you to take another step forward. I want to restore within you the ability to soar by the power of my Spirit. Do not allow voices that do not come from my throne to define you. There are words spoken over you in moments of carelessness that you have carried like lifelong verdicts. There are failures that were only one chapter in your story. Yet, you have allowed them to rewrite your entire identity. There are memories that should have been brought to me for healing, but instead you stored them as evidence against yourself. Today I speak over you the same word that called light out of darkness. You are not the product of mistakes. You are the evidence of grace. For we are His workmanship created in Christ Jesus for good works. As Ephesians do Delicaris, you are not a discarded fragment of a life. You are a work I am still completing. Remember Lazarus who lay in the tomb for 4 days when everyone believed the story had already ended. Outside there was a stone. Within there was silence and all around there were tears and the smell of death. But my Son stood before the tomb and called Lazarus. Come out. That voice was stronger than the grave, stronger than delay. Stronger than every human conclusion. And the one who was dead walked out, still bound in grave clothes, yet already called back into life. My beloved child, there are places within you that you have already sealed away as finished joy, faith, purity, courage, hope, and the ability to believe again. But I am standing before those places and calling you out. Not one day when you feel perfected, but even now in the authority of the one who speaks life where others only see endings. My beloved child, do not be afraid of the valleys you have walked through. I will not let the valley swallow you. I will turn the very place where you once trembled into the ground that bears witness to my power lifting you up. The world may look at your seasons of darkness and see them as proof of defeat. But I look at them as the ground where my light proves it is never threatened by darkness. Micah see I though I sit in darkness. The Lord will be my light. You may have sat in darkness but you do not belong to darkness. You may have fallen but you are not defined by the moment of falling. I am placing my hand beneath you, lifting you up, brushing the dust from your face, and reminding you that the light within you still belongs to your Father. See your soul as a garden I deeply love. There are seasons when the soil becomes dry and cracked. When the plants bend under the wind, when seeds are buried so deeply that you assume they are dead, when doubt falls upon you, you often fear it as a harmful rain. But when you bring that doubt to me, I can turn it into rain that softens hardened soil. Questions placed in my hands do not destroy faith. They open the ground for deeper roots. Weakness surrendered to me does not diminish your value. It becomes the place where my power is revealed. My grace is sufficient for you. For my power is made perfect in weakness. Novi declares I do not wait for you to become strong before I use you. I make you strong as you lean on me. Understand this. A seed does not produce life by preserving its old form. It must be buried in the soil. It must break open in darkness. It must pass through a process unseen by human eyes. Then new life emerges. Your faith is the same. There are things within you that must break open. The pride that wants control, the fear of disappointment, the habit of self-condemnation, the dependence on human approval. As these layers dissolve in my light, true faith begins to grow. John S.W. says that unless a grain of wheat falls into the ground and dies, it remains alone, but if it dies, it produces much fruit. Do not fear what I am doing in hidden places. What is breaking apart is not your destiny, but the outer layers that have held your life back for too long. Today, I call you to rise. Not to prove to the world that you were never broken, but to stand as one who has been touched by grace in the midst of brokenness, not in empty confidence, but in the awareness that my word over you is stronger than every lie spoken against you. Cast off the garment of shame. Step out of the land of compromise. Stop saying this is enough when your soul is still hungry for fullness of life. I do not call you to partial living. I call you into freedom, restoration, clarity, and the joy of being my child. Behold, I make all things new. As Revelation 21:5 declares, and that includes the places within you that once seemed too old to be restored. So open your heart to me. Let my word call you back from where you have lingered too long. Let my light touch your wounds, your doubts, your exhaustion, and the stories you have believed about yourself. I will make your garden green again. I will bring forth shoots of faith from places you thought were only dry ground. I will use even the rain of your questions to deepen your roots in truth. You were not created to live small beneath shame. You were created to reflect my light, to rise from dust, to move in the wind of my spirit, and to testify that when I speak life, no valley, no fog, and no darkness can keep my child where they do not belong. My beloved child, come close to me with the truth that is already in your heart. Not with a false garment of unshaken faith. I do not require you to appear strong before me. Nor do I withdraw my love, when you bring me your deepest questions. True faith does not begin when everything is answered. It begins when you dare to place what is uncertain, unresolved, and trembling into my hands. There are prayers that sound beautiful before others, yet remain distant from your heart. And there are broken quiet sighs that carry more truth than words ever formed. And those reach me deeply. The Lord is close to the broken-hearted declares, and I am near you not only in clarity but also in confusion. Do not let doubt become a chain that locks you in darkness. Let it become a guide that leads you to deeper seeking, deeper honesty, and a faith no longer dependent on fleeting feelings. When you do not understand, do not step away from me. Step closer when your heart asks, "Where are you in this?" That very question becomes an open door. I am not afraid of your questions because my truth is not fragile. James 1 verse 5 says that if anyone lacks wisdom, let them ask God, who gives generously without reproach. You see, I do not condemn you for needing light. I invite you to receive it. My beloved child, I know there are questions within you that have lingered for a long time. You see, the wicked seem to prosper while the sincere suffer, and your heart becomes troubled. You wonder why a genuine prayer must wait so long. Why those who love are wounded, why injustice continues before your eyes. My child, I have heard those questions even before you dared to speak them. I hear them in the nights when you stare into silent skies. I hear them when you wipe away your tears and try to continue as though nothing is wrong. I hear them even when you fear that speaking honestly will make you seem weak in faith. But I say to you, truth does not distance you from me. Hiding does. Remember the prophet Habakkuk. He also saw violence, injustice, and wrongdoing that grieved his soul. He cried out to me, "How long, Lord, must I call for help, and you do not listen?" As recorded in Habakkuk 1:2, he did not bring me a polished prayer shaped by appearance. He brought me his real confusion and I did not cast him away. I told him to stand watch and wait for what I would speak. Then I declared that the righteous shall live by faith. As Habakkuk D says, "My beloved child, some of my answers are not given to satisfy impatience, but to rebuild the foundation of the soul. You will live not by what you fully understand, but by the one you know to be faithful." Faith is not the denial of existing darkness. Faith is knowing that darkness is not God. Faith is not pretending that pain does not hurt. Faith is bringing that pain into my presence and trusting that I can redeem it. Faith is not the absence of questions. It is when your questions do not remove you from my arms. My son in Gethsemane also prayed in deep anguish, "Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me, yet not my will, but yours." As Matthew 26 verse 39 records, even in perfect obedience, there was still a prayer of suffering. So do not despise your tears. When they are brought to me, they do not diminish your faith. They make it more real. There are times when my silence confuses you. But silence does not mean absence. The refiner does not leave the furnace in the middle of purification. He watches until the gold reflects his image. In the same way, in seasons when you cannot clearly hear me, I remain near, guarding the flame not to destroy you but to purify what binds you. The testing of your faith is more precious than gold. Peter Uno declares, "I do not place you in fire to lose you. I stay with you in the fire so that what does not belong to life is burned away and what I placed within you becomes purer, stronger, and more radiant." Let doubt teach you to distinguish between what you feel and who I am. Feelings shift with days, circumstances, exhaustion, and the words of others. But I do not change. There are days you feel I am near. And days you feel only silence. Yet truth is not measured by perception. Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. As Hebrews 13:8 declares, "When your emotions rise and fall like waves, anchor your heart in my nature. I am the one who loves you in weakness, hears you in silence, and sees you when you feel unseen. I am the light of dawn, and even a single ray from me is enough to break the authority of the thickest fog. So come to me not with perfection but with honesty. Speak to me what you truly think. Ask me what you are afraid to ask others. Lay before me your disappointment, confusion, hidden anger, and exhaustion from waiting. I will not use your honesty against you. I will use it as soft soil in which deeper faith can grow. Let us then approach the throne of grace with confidence, as Hebrews 4 verse 16 invites, so that you may receive mercy and find grace in time of need. You are not approaching a cold throne. You are approaching the throne of your Father's grace. My beloved child, you are not losing faith because you are asking questions. You are being invited deeper beyond a faith dependent on emotion into a trust refined in the night. Let each question become a prayer. Let each moment of not understanding become a step toward me. Let each tear become water that washes away false images of who I am. I am still here. I still here. I am still at work. And when my dawn breaks through your fog, you will see that I was never afraid of the truth within you. I was only waiting for you to bring it to me, so that even the place where doubt once stood would become the ground for a mature, humble, and radiant faith in the everlasting love of your Father. My beloved child, let your heart become still enough to hear this. I am a righteous God, but my righteousness is not confined to how humans usually define justice. Human eyes see a fragment of time and rush to conclusions. But I see the whole story from beginning to end. You see a moment of suffering, a season of injustice, an unanswered prayer, and the apparent prosperity of the wicked. But I see the entire unfolding of eternity. I see what is being formed in hidden places. I see the souls I am still patiently calling back before the day of judgment comes. My thoughts are not your thoughts. Neither are your ways my ways. As Isaiah 55 verse 8 declares, what you do not understand does not mean I am absent. What you do not yet see completed does not mean I am not at work. My beloved child, I know there are times when you long for me to immediately set right everything that is wrong. To instantly stop every act of evil, to immediately restore justice to those who are wounded. I understand the ache in your heart when truth is distorted. When the righteous suffer loss, when kindness is disregarded, and when the tears of the innocent fall without visible defense. But my child, my patience is not permission for injustice and my delay is not weakness. 2 Peter 3:9 says that I am not slow in keeping my promise as some understand slowness, but patient, not wanting anyone to perish, but for all to come to repentance. If I were to close every account instantly, many souls I am still drawing would lose their chance to return. My grace does not cancel justice. It prepares the deeper work before justice is fully revealed. You have seen injustice and your heart has been moved. But remember this, I am not distant from that pain. I saw the greatest injustice when the innocent one was condemned as guilty. When love itself was lifted between heaven and earth, when the one without sin carried the sin of many, humanity looked at the cross and saw failure, saw darkness as victory, and believed justice had been buried under the cries of the crowd. Yet in that very place, at the darkest hour, the plan of redemption was unfolding, where love was crucified, love was victorious. Colossians 2 verse 15 declares that through the cross my Son disarmed the powers of darkness and triumphed over them. So do not call a dark moment the end when I may be using it as the foundation for resurrection. Remember Joseph sold by his own brothers, separated from his family, falsely accused and forgotten in prison. If you only observe each moment separately, you would only see injustice, a betrayed son, a wrongly condemned man, a promise seemingly delayed. Yet I was with Joseph in slavery, in prison, and in the silent years when no one called his name. And at the appointed time, what was meant for harm became the very path I used to save many lives from famine. In the end, Joseph said, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." As Cinquantavent declares, my beloved child, this does not mean betrayal is good, but that my power is greater than betrayal. I can redeem evil without calling evil good. There are things I allow you to walk through, not to crush you, but to open your eyes to a deeper dimension of my love. If you only know me in calm days, you may think peace is the only proof of my presence. But when storms rise and you still find my hand holding you, you will know I am not only your father in green pastures, but also in the valley of the shadow of death. Psalm 23 does not say you will never walk through the valley, but that when you do, you will not fear because I am with you. You do not learn steadfastness by avoiding every wind. You learn it when your roots go deeper into me while the wind is still blowing. I do not test you to punish you. My discipline is not the hand of anger seeking to wound you, but the hand of a Father shaping what is within you so that you may live more fully, more freely, and more maturely. Hebrews 12:6 says that I discipline those I love as a father disciplines his child. But you must understand this discipline through my heart of love, not through fear. There are things I remove from your hands because keeping them would weaken you. There are doors I close because beyond them is a path that would drain your soul. There are seasons of waiting because I am doing something in you greater than the answer you asked for. You may ask only to escape the fire. But I desire to meet you within it so you may know that the fire has no authority to destroy what belongs to me. My beloved child, there are seasons when I do not speak in the way you are accustomed to hearing, not because I have moved away, but because I am teaching your soul to recognize me at a deeper level. You often desire that I would speak through immediate signs, through doors opening at once, through answers that quickly relieve your heart. But there are times when I lead you into silence so that you may learn that my voice is not only found in outward sound, but also in the quiet peace placed within the deepest place of your being. When all external noise fades. When familiar supports no longer feel stable. When you can hold on to nothing except my hand. It is there that you begin to hear with a different ear. The ear of faith. Be still and know that I am God. As Psalm 46:10 declares, that stillness is not emptiness, but the holy room where your soul learns to recognize the breath of your Father. There are moments when I allow you to experience loss so that you may discover what cannot be taken from you. What you once held tightly can change. People can leave. Human promises can fade. Circumstances can shift in a single day, but I remain unchanging, unmoved, never withdrawing, my love, simply because you are weak. You have often placed your sense of safety in a person. A result, a door, a plan, and when those things tremble, it feels as though your entire foundation collapses. But I am teaching you to build upon the rock, not upon sand, as Matthew 7:24:25 says of the wise one who built on the rock. When rain fell, floods came, and winds blew. The house did not fall because its foundation was secure. I am not destroying you. I am leading you away from foundations that could never truly hold your soul. And when doubt rises within you about my love, remember this. I do not release my grip on you because you cannot feel me. A child walking through a dark forest may not see its father's face clearly, but the father's hand still holds him. The child may fear the wind, the shadows, and the unclear path, but the Father knows the way. So it is with you, my beloved child. There are paths you cannot walk alone, not because you are worthless, but because you were never created to walk apart from me. Do not fear, for I am with you. Isaiah 41:10 declares, I am not watching you from a distance as you stumble forward. I walk beside you, holding your hand more firmly in the very moments you feel abandoned. I know there are days when you look back on your life and see only marks of failure. You remember clearly the times you chose wrongly, spoke wrongly, trusted wrongly, fell, stepped back, hurt others, or were hurt yourself. You gather those memories and write a verdict over your soul. I am no longer worthy to begin again. But that is not my voice over you. You are not the sum of your failures. You are not the report of your mistakes. You are not a page that must be discarded because of ink stains. You are my child and grace is still writing your story. The Lord's mercies never cease. His compassions are new every morning. As Lamentations 3:22-23 declares, if my mercy is new every morning, then you are never meant to be imprisoned in yesterday. Remember Peter who once boldly declared that even if others denied Jesus, he would not. Yet in the night of testing, he denied his Lord 3 times. The rooster crowed and his heart broke. If the story had ended there, he might have lived forever under the shadow of shame. But I did not allow his failure to have the final word. After the resurrection, my son met him by the sea, not to crush him with accusation, but to restore him with a question. Do you love me? And then he entrusted him again, feed my sheep. I did not deny Peter's fall. But I also did not let that fall define him where he saw an ending. I made a beginning. So do not use your past failures against what I am restoring in you. Some things require repentance. Some consequences must be faced and some lessons must be learned in humility. But none of these have the authority to declare that my grace has expired. Romans 8:1 declares that there is now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. I have not called you into freedom so that you would continue to bind yourself with what I have already forgiven. I have not healed your wound so that you would reopen it daily and call it truth. The truth is not that you have never fallen. The truth is that my mercy is deeper than the place you fell. And my hand is strong enough to lift you from every depth. Every mistake when brought into my light can become a new layer of soil for growth. It is no longer a grave for hope, but a place where you learn humility, discernment, deeper love, and dependence on me instead of your own strength. I can use even the pages you once wanted to tear away to reveal the deeper ink of grace. I can turn scars into testimony, tears into wisdom, and painful memories into compassion for others who are stumbling. Behold, I make all things new. As Revelation 21:6 declares, I do not only renew the parts of you that still look beautiful to your eyes. I also renew the parts you once believed could never be restored. My beloved child, stop counting failures as though they were evidence against yourself. Begin instead to count the times I have preserved you. The times you thought you would not make it, but were still lifted up. The times tears fell, but your heart did not die. The times you lost your way, but still heard my voice calling you back. You are still here, not because you are perfect, but because my grace is still at work. You still long for me. Not because you are strong, but because my spirit is still breathing within you. You still have the ability to begin again. Not because your past was light, but because I am greater than your past. So let me take your hand through this dark forest. Do not fear silence. Even in silence, I am guiding you. Do not fear loss even in loss. I am revealing foundations that cannot be taken away. Do not fear past mistakes in repentance and grace. I can turn them into places where my light shines even more brightly. You are not defined by the red marks of your life. You are defined by the love that called your name before you even knew how to call mine. By the mercy that lifts you each morning, by the hand of your Father that has never left you. Keep walking, my beloved child. I am here. And in my hands, even what you call broken can become the beginning of a deeper, truer, more radiant life in my everlasting grace. My beloved child, do not close the book of your life just because a few pages were soaked with tears. Do not look at one dark season and conclude that your entire story has lost its beauty. You see ink smudges, pages you wish you could erase, decisions that still ache when remembered. But I see with the eyes of the one who knows the end from the beginning. I see new lines being written by grace. I see broken pieces being placed back into order through the wisdom of your Father. What you call chaos may be where I have already begun to rearrange your life. What you call failure may become the ground where I plant new life. All things work together for good for those who love God. As Romans 8:28 declares, not because all things are good, but because nothing is beyond my redeeming power. I am not surprised by what makes you blame yourself. I have seen your steps before you understood their consequences. I have seen the moments when you wanted to choose rightly, but weakness within you pulled you down. I have seen the silent hours of shame, the prayers that could barely form. The nights when all you could whisper was, "Father, do not leave me." My child, I have heard even what you could not say aloud. I know what you hide from others. The pain beneath your mistakes and the longing within you to become better, even when you no longer fully believe it yourself. And still I call you my beloved child. If I, the one who sees all things fully, have not withdrawn my love from you, why then do you so quickly turn away from yourself? You often see yourself through your weakest moment. While I see you through my covenant of love, you take a single fall and turn it into the name of your whole soul. But I take grace and rewrite your identity. Behold, I make all things new. As Revelation 21 verse 5 declares, I do not only renew what is visible and easy for you to notice. I renew even the hidden places within you, the places you once believed were too late to heal, too ashamed to bring into the light, too broken to restore. Remember the Samaritan woman at the well? She came at midday, at an hour when few would be there, because her life had grown used to judgmental eyes and whispered accusations. She carried a story marked by brokenness, unfinished relationships, and a thirst that no earthly water could satisfy. Yet my son was already waiting for her there. He did not begin with condemnation. He began with encounter. He spoke to her about living water, the kind that makes the soul never thirst again. And that woman, once avoiding everyone, returned to her town and became a witness of the one who knew her entire story and still did not reject her. Do you see? The place of her shame became the beginning of her testimony. What she tried to hide became the very place I touched. And from there, light spread to many. Your past is the same, my beloved child. It is not a final verdict in my hands. It can become a classroom of transformation where you learn humility, discernment, compassion, and deeper dependence on me. What once wounded you can become the gentleness you use to lift another person. The scars on your soul do not need to be signs of shame. Under my light, they become evidence that you passed through fire and were not consumed. That you fell but were not abandoned. That you wept but were never forgotten. Psalm 56 verse 8 says that I number your wanderings and collect your tears in my bottle. Not a single tear you have shed in secret is overlooked by me. Therefore, do not despise yourself anymore. Do not let sin turn you into one who constantly hides in the shadow of self-condemnation. True repentance does not push you away from me. It brings you back into my mercy. Shame says, hide yourself. You are no longer worthy. But grace says, come closer so you may be cleansed and begin again. 1 John 1 verse 9 declares that if you confess your sins, I am faithful and just to forgive you and cleanse you from all unrighteousness. I do not call you to hide your wounds beneath a mask of false righteousness. I call you to bring them to me so that the healing oil of my Spirit can reach the deepest places. Do not hide hands that have once trembled. Lift them before me, not to prove your innocence, but to receive forgiveness. Do not turn away from past wounds. Place them in my hands. For only what is brought into the light can be fully healed. When you allow me to touch your pain, it will no longer bind you to yesterday. It will become a testimony that I can turn ashes into beauty, mourning into joy. As Isaiah 61. 3 promises, what once made you bow your head will become the place where you learn to lift it again in grace. My beloved child, your story is not finished. The dark pages do not have the authority to close the book I'm still writing. Let me continue writing it with light, with mercy, with a restoration greater than what you believed you deserved. You are not the sum of your failures. You are living proof that my grace is still at work, that my love still seeks, and that the hand of your Father still lifts up what the world calls lost. Step out of the shadows. Bring your past into my presence. And you will see this. What once was a chain will become a song of freedom. What once was a wound will become oil of healing. And your life will testify that in my hands nothing surrendered to grace is ever wasted. Get heat.